Happy New Year.
Yes, it is a happy new year, isn't it? It's going to be a great year. Lots of exciting things to talk about and happenings going on. It's going to be just wonderfully amazing. So, share with the audience a little bit about, what it is that you do.
I have been a transformational catalyst, changing people's lives one at a time, sometimes in group settings, for 30 years. And the primary focus of the transformational process that I engage with people is literally how to come out of separation within themselves, how to transform the fear systems that they have operating at levels they're not even aware of, and then how do they step into a full, wondrous, joyful, beautiful life doing what they're here to do because it's written in their DNA.
That is so awesome. And it is so true. We are our DNA. That's where the big aha moments have. So, share with the audience a little bit about those big aha moments in your life of transformation and what is taking place here today. We want to know what's going on today.
The biggest transformation in my life was being introduced to the energy dynamics of physical healing. And this goes back quite some time. In my mid 20s, after giving birth to my first child, I, like many women, I don't think they do this so much, and I hope if they do, they're being careful. But I opted for an IUD as a form of birth control. And so after the birth of my second child, I had the IUD installed. And then about 2 years later, I wasn't feeling all that well. It felt like, this probably should come out. And it was my partner and I were ready to have a second child. So I went to my gynecologist at that time and I said, okay, we need to take this out and I think there's a problem with it. And he was like, oh, no, 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 you're, no, not yet. Not, and I was just like, excuse me? Anyway, we worked that out and the apparatus was removed, but unbeknownst to me, what I had been feeling was a kind of a low level, a little bit off, had developed into pelvic inflammatory disease. And so more time went by, I didn't conceive, and I went to the doctors who had delivered my first child because I felt they were more capable of helping me sort this out. And then with some extensive and extremely painful testing, it was determined that both of my fallopian tubes had been blocked with scar tissue because of the infection from the IUD. Well, I was like, what does this mean? What happens next? So they assured me that at that time, with surgery, I had maybe a 20% chance of conceiving again, but there was equally that much chance of having an ectopic pregnancy, which might be fatal. So I adjusted to this very painful realization that I wasn't going to conceive another child. But that wasn't the end of it because another infection tacked on to the first one, and that went undiagnosed for another year. And by the time it was diagnosed, one of my kidneys was failing. I was down to 80 pounds, and I knew that I was going to be checking out soon. And my son at that time was 3, and that took me within. That took me to my inner journey because I couldn't do anything else. My husband and I had bought our ideal home, 10 acres of farm and a 1775 home in Vermont where we were going to start a bed and breakfast and an organic farm. All that went poop out the window. I couldn't take care of my family. I would manage to kind of make breakfast and then I would just sit because I had no energy to do anything else. So I began asking the big questions and I got the big answers. Fast forward.
Is that what led you to today in what you're
Yes.
doing to work?
Yes.
Okay. Well, share
Yes.
that a little bit with us. Is what does that look like?
It's called using your knowledge of the energy field and understanding that you are primarily and foremost energy, and that you, as a conscious being, can change the way energy functions, including in your body. So, years later, I gave birth to a second child, perfect pregnancy, everything was great. And then there was another instance where I needed to become a healer by having to then take care of healing that child when he developed juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And once again, asking the right questions, getting the right information.
Transformational catalyst, which means that I'm not here to do the healing process. I'm the intervention that's going to give you the say the processing, right? So that you can now take the responsibility, because we're all responsible for ourselves, right? For what goes on in this physical body, what goes on up in here in our thought processing. And it all does come together. And what you were saying earlier about energy and not understanding it, because none of us really understood what energy was until we started to really delve deep into ourselves and see what's transpiring and how that's impacting life, because energy is everything,
Yes.
right? Everything.